stage is yours.
Okay. Shall I go? Okay. طيب. So first of all, good morning, everybody. My name is Muhammad. This is the first time I do Rihal talks. I don't know most of you. I know some of you, but I don't know because of the schedule, 5 days by 5 days. I don't know most of you. So first of all, good morning. I'm Mohammed Suwaid. I'm a BA for business analyst here in Rihal. Me myself here. So. So what am I going to talk about? Today I'm going to talk about personality. And how is the personality different from one person to the other? Why are we different? And what makes us different than other people? So why are we different than others? And what makes our personality different than mine why is different than yours? And why is yours different than mine? And why do I... why am I'm almost there. Sorry, not almost. This should have been in the notes. I'm sorry. This should have been in the notes. I placed it up. I'm sorry about that. So basically, why am I here? And what is the subject that I'm going to talk about? Sorry. All right, good morning. How are you? The act that you have seen a few moments ago portrays my exact character 20 years back, when I used to be in school, when I used to be bullied in school, basically. Yeah. So this character resembles or portrays exactly what I was beforehand. I used to lack confidence, socially withdrawn, always trying to avoid criticism by staying quiet. Whenever I say something, public laugh. So I tried to basically always stay withdrawn from the people, from the public, and so on and so forth. This character obviously has changed. And from the smiles on your faces, I believe that you believe in this transformation, yeah? Great. By the way, how is the act? Out of 10?
Convincing.
Convincing, really? Yeah. Perfect. Nice. All right. So that's back to me now. All right? Okay. So the subject that we'll be talking about today is basically personality and how different personalities evolve in life. Whether you are ambitious, whether you are sorry, by mistake. Let's go back. Yeah, whether you are enthusiastic, adventurous, curious, stubborn, shy, introvert, extrovert. There are multiple factors that contribute towards the person you are today. Multiple factors, different factors. Starting with factor number 1, astrology. Back in the old ages, people used to believe that zodiac and astrology is the main factor that plays a role in building your character. So, simply said, we divide the year into 12 months. You're born in a certain month, that's your character. Voila, that's it. So, Gemini, for example, are known for being curious, public speaking, introverts or extroverts, wrong use of terminology. Taurus are investigators, are determined. Libras are charming. لكنكم تحبون الأجانب. Libras are charming, diplomatic, cooperative, and so on and so forth. And Cancer are nurturing, caring, helpful, and so on and so forth. Now, raise your hands if you believe that zodiac plays a role in building your character. Yeah, I'll take some time. Good. Well, thank you, Azzan. You hired the best. So basically, why those who raise your hand are wrong? Take a look at those. We have 4 celebrities, 2 scientists. I know you know the 2 scientists. You don't know the celebrities, yeah? Yeah, مستوى ثقافي راقي. So you know the 4 celebrities. Shame on me too. I never knew those scientists beforehand, just to be on the same page, okay? So Will Smith, Snoop Dogg, both are American rappers. Haifa Wahbi, Lebanese singer. Kim Kardashian, American businesswoman. John Gordon, Michael Faraday. One is a stem cell researcher, the other is a scientist known in contributing his knowledge towards the science of electromagnets. So how on earth am I related to all of these? I have an awful voice, so definitely there's no relationship between me, Snoop Dogg, and Will Smith. There's no relationship between us. And trust me, if I cut my finger, I'll wrap it with a plaster. I will never boos al-wawa. All right? Kim Kardashian, other than being a perfect match, me and her, but there's nothing common between me and Kim. I know nothing about electromagnets as much as Michael Faraday knows. Neither do I know nothing about stem cells. But however, we are all Libra. So what factors, what childhood experience, what experiences made Michael Faraday get interested in science, electromagnets, spend time and hours studying electromagnets, and what factors made Haifa Wahbi a singer? Totally different factors other than zodiacs or astrology. Astrology and zodiac is an important subject that is used by governmental radio stations to fill the morning time. Yeah? The morning hours. صباح الخير عزيزي مولود برج الميزان نهارك سعيد. Spark aside, fine, by a policeman. Yeah? Zodiac is an important subject to start up a conversation with your fiancé on your first date. You see that awkward moment? She's silent, you're silent, and there's a cockroach behind you. Tweet, 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 tweet. Yeah, that awkward moment, you can start a subject about astrology, about zodiac. Yeah, wish borjish, ila akhirih. This is the kind of subject that you can start up with a fiancé during that awkward moment. Other than that, it's not scientific at all. Apologies. On the other hand, in the 19th centuries, someone came up with rather, let's say, scientific approach towards understanding human character. Hippocrates, Abuqrat, also known as the father of medicine, Abu al-Atibba. He had this theory of the four humors. His contribution towards understanding the human character was via the four humors theory. So the yellow bile is your kidney, a strong kidney means a strong character. Black bile is associated with sadness and thoughtfulness. So basically never donate your kidney to anyone. You'll be sad for your entire life. Again, this was Hippocrates' first attempt to basically classify the human character, the human personality. Some people debate with Hippocrates that human organs have no relationship with the character that you have built with experience, with knowledge, with the time, with your acquaintance, with your family, and so on and so forth. Who believes in Hippocrates' theory for the time being? No one? That's good. However, Sigmund Freud came up with a more sophisticated approach towards understanding the human character. He never looked at the human body. He never looked at the sky. What he looked at was the brain, the human brain. So Sigmund Freud visualized the human brain as an iceberg. We only use 10% of our brains in order to express our behavior, instantaneous reactions, emotions, and ideas. The 90% of our brain, as per Sigmund Freud, is referred to desires, conflicts, and childhood experience. So whatever you see in the 10% comes from the 90%. The deep desires, whether they were right desires or wrong desires from a moral perspective. The deep in desires. Conflicts between right and wrong, and the childhood experience. So he classified those 90%, the 90% portion of the brain that we do not express to the public, he classified them into three different, let's say, elements, or three different invisible characters. We have the ID, the ego, and the superego. The ID is the character that basically looks for the instantaneous joy, regardless whether it is right or wrong. The ID looks always for the instinctive ideas, instantaneous pleasure. Right, the pleasure instantaneously, right now. I need to eat food right now, I'm hungry. Now, let's skip the ego for the time being and move to the superego. Now, the superego is composed of all the morals, of all the righteous morals that you gain, whether from the society, whether from the public, whether from your family. So what happens is, they're always, on daily basis, there's always this conflict between your ID and your superego. I want to eat a pizza right now, I'm hungry. Your superego tells you, no, you're in the middle of a meeting. You can't leave the meeting and go out and eat. So the middleman is you. This guy, the ego, that's you. The ego tries to find a balance between your ID and your superego. Tries to find the balance between these two. Tries to basically understand what factors we can use to come up with a mutual agreement that both of those characters will be satisfied with. So wait until the meeting finishes up. Then you can have the pizza. Yeah? It's Thursday, 3:30 p.m. We have the bi-weekly meeting. Okay, it's Thursday. It's going to be traffic. Why shouldn't I leave the bi-weekly meeting? Okay, who will notice, yeah? So operations call you, sorry, superego calls you to attend the meeting. Yeah? Yeah? True? Yeah. So the superego calls you. No, you should attend that meeting. So the middleman, ego, tells, well, you can use the time wisely. Hook up your mobile, attend the meeting via your phone, and you can use the time wisely and leave earlier. Can we do that? No. Okay, great. Superego wins again. And so on and so forth. The stand-up, daily stand-ups. Why should I have the daily stand-ups with the PM? Why should I have the daily stand-ups with the PM? It's the same concept, the same ideas being repeated again and again. The superego tells you, no, the project manager used his time wisely, and he has so much pressure on him from the top management to know where the project is and what is the status of the project. So what you can do, Allah, you liked it. So your ego tells you, attend it online, add your feedback, add your input, and leave if you have other work to do. Again, there are factors that make these debates balanced. However, certain factors can make one character stronger than the other. Would you like to steal money?
No.
Okay. Alhamdulillah, Oman is a wealthy country. We are paid well. We are living in high standards. Why should we steal? The ID doesn't have a valid point. The superego has a valid point. Imagine yourself in the third world countries, عالم الدول الثالث. Corruption, low payment, economy is basically falling apart. Conversion rates, for example, between the US dollar and the national currency are extraordinary. So the superego now doesn't have a point, doesn't have a valid point. The debate, I should feed my family. I should feed myself. If I don't steal, I will starve. The ID has a point. So again, this conflict between the ID and the superego is basically composed of multiple factors that strengthen one character compared to the other. So the factors or the circumstances you live in tend to feed one character, on the contrary where other character doesn't get fed. So one personality gets stronger than the other based on factors. So what builds our character is basically those three characters that are in the 90% of our brain. The final decision that goes to the 10% goes from the ego, once we have the final decision made by these two characters. Sorry. Okay. In building up the character, we have two kinds of scientists that understand or classify characters based on two different categories. We have the behaviorists and we have the biologists. So behaviorists believe in rewards and punishments. Punishments. Imagine yourself sitting in the coffee shop with your friends and you say a joke. You tell a joke. بالعامية يعني تجيب الكلام لنفسك. No one laughs. They look at you that look from top to bottom. You would never tell jokes back in. خلاص, you're bad at telling jokes. Yeah, by the way, in TP they call me that I am the guy who tells dad jokes. Correct? Yeah. So I learned a lesson. I never tell jokes anymore. That's it. I'm trying to, but I never tell jokes. Again, never steal. Who came up with this punishment? The society, the environment where you're living in. Is this a bribe? Are you taking bribes? Again, punishments. Punishments from the society, from the public, from your family. This builds your character. Rewards. You made your bed. The first reward you get from your mother, when you make your bed and go to her, your mother, and tell her, I made my bed, if you get a reward, this becomes part of your character, to become an organized person. You're sensible. Nice. Awesome. You're giving charity. Perfect. Imagine yourself if you were raised in a family where you try to tell your family that I am doing my bed, and your mother tells you, yeah, so what? So what? You made your bed. Your cousin makes your bed better than the way you do it. No reward. It becomes excluded from your character, basically. Punishment, as the example I mentioned. So rewards and punishments in your entire childhood. Reward, punishment, reward, reward, punishment, 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 reward. All of this combination turns out to be ultimately your ultimate final character. Okay, out of battery. Now, examples of rewards and punishment. The scientist over here came up with this experiment. It was a successful experiment. His name was B.F. Skinner. Yeah, the YouTube is there. I just want you to watch this for a few moments and check out what's going to happen. Check out the reward that the pigeons will get. B.F. Skinner taught the pigeons how to play ping pong. So what method did he use to teach them how to play ping pong? Take a look. Just a few moments will pass by. You will know in a moment. Reward. You score, you get to eat. You don't play, you don't score, you don't get to eat. Yep. So biologists have a different point of view. Biologists believe that it is not the environment or the factors that you live in that build your character. No, it's in your genes. So they came up with a twins theory, which was tested. They came up with a twins theory. So if we have twins that were separated apart for any reason, family divorce, death of your family, death of your father or mother, or so on and so forth. If you get separated, you will be exposed, both of you, to two different environments. So the question is, what will build your character? Your genes or your environment? Who believes that environment will build your character? Okay, that's almost half of the audience. Good, perfect. Who believes that it's the genes inside you that will build your character? All right, nice. Bayan, you win the debate. So there was this study that was done in the USA between 1979 and 1990. The study of twins reared apart. The study of twins that were separated. So they studied 100 twins that were separated, either for family death, divorce, family conflict, and so on and so forth. And they noticed that 70 identical personalities happened between two couples. So I have 20 kids, 200 kids, 140. That's a 70 twin. Yeah? Okay. 70 twins exposed to two different environments get to have identical personality. And one of the fascinating stories is that they have the same character, the same behavior, the same desires, exactly the same. One of the fascinating stories was the story of Jim Springer and Jim Lewis. Take a look, compare between both of those both information about Jim Lewis and Jim Springer. Any difference? Can you spot any difference? They never married the same lady, by the way, just to be on the same page. Is there a difference?
The last name.
Just the last name. Just the last name, because they were adopted by two different families. This was one of the fascinating stories. Jim Springer and Jim Lewis were separated apart for 39 years. When they met back, they noticed that they married the wife that carries the same first name. Sorry. They were called James by their adopted families. The family that adopted them, they had the same hobby, carpentry. They also worked as part-time sheriffs, regardless to what state they were in. I believe one of them was in Iowa. The other one, I'm not sure where he was. But basically, they had these common information. And yeah, they named the same pet. They had the same pets. They named the same pets as Toy. It was a pet dog. Now, to sum it up, and to see whether the behaviorists or the environments or the environments have won the debate, another latest scientist, Jordan Alpert, came up with a theory, the trait theory. The trait theory, نظرية السمات. So he came up with a trait theory. What he did is he came up with 2,500 adjectives that describe the human character. Scientists saw that those 2,500 characters were a lot, so they decided to shrink them up to 5 different adjectives. And they came up with a theory referred to as the big fives. The big fives. I decided to have them in Arabic and in English. So, openness, neuroticism, agreeableness, extroversion, and whoever pronounces that word gets to have Rihal talks next time. Go ahead. Come in. There you go. Rihal talk. Next Rihal talk will be with you, with Harrasi, all right? Again? Conscientiousness. Conscientiousness. So openness. How open are you to new ideas? How agreeable you are, how open you are to basically experiencing new cultures, getting to meet new people. If you are cautious, or basically if you are consistent or cautious, you have the high vulnerability towards not meeting with people. You're a zero person. You're a routine lover. You're like me. Okay? I like the way where I live. I like Oman. I don't want to leave Oman. I want to stay at the same house. I want to stay in the same job career. I don't want to meet new people. I know A and Z, A and B. A and B are good friends. That's it. You're a routine lover. So the level of openness determines one aspect of your character. Come again? Conscientiousness, all right? So how dependable you are, how organized you are. Yeah? By the way, a side question. I know developers that are totally, have messy rooms. Am I correct? I'm not sure where did I get this intel from. They're always messy.
I think that they should be very structured because
Yeah.
they
When you hand over the code, yeah,
It should be.
the next person should be happy with you. Yeah. So conscientiousness, degree of dependency, responsibility, and how much you are aware of details. Extroversion, whether you are open to dialogues, talkative, or whether you are always quiet. There is also this linear schema or linear rod that explains whether you are reserved or whether you are outgoing. Agreeableness. Agreeableness again, how well or how agreeable you are with other people, other points of view. Do you accept other points of view? Are you the kind of person that can sympathize, or are you the kind of person that have this cooperative spirit? Okay? And finally, al-isabiyya, neuroticism. How much you are basically, how much you have negative impressions. How vulnerable you are towards anxiety. For example, you see the point, remember when you used to lie in our CVs? We mentioned that we work under stress. Yeah? That part? Yeah, you're over here. You're confident, secure. Yeah? You work under stress. Nothing stresses you at all. All right? So those big fives sum up the human character. Now, this was the last, by the way, that was the last approach that psychologists and scientists came up with. They find that the 5 traits are the best method to identify human character. Now, coming up to the last part of my presentation is the body language. How can we basically relate the body language with the 5 traits? If I meet someone, I want to basically identify his character using those 5 traits. How can I do so without asking him? Through body language. So basically what we're going to concentrate is on the hair, the forehead, the lips, the nose, the neck, and the hand. The hair, is it well groomed or healthy? Is he the kind of person that has openness? Does he meet people a lot? Does he care about his hygiene, how good looking he is? And forehead reveals the stress, the glabella basically. There is this part over here. This is referred to as the glabella. For those who think that I took so much time today, I can see that your glabella shrunk, yeah? I'm sorry for that. So, it reveals stress. So, stress itself is basically a measurement of your neuroticism. Current, instantaneous. Nose reveals the acceptance, rejection. Have you ever heard of the bunny nose? Yeah, basically toddlers, 3-month-old toddlers, they're so frank. Yeah? If he doesn't like the food, yeah? While you are basically expressing your point of view to a colleague or a friend, he might give you that yes as a compliment, but check out the nose. Check out the bunny nose. It will glitch for a milli or 1 millimeter or so on and so forth. But you can tell whether there is acceptance or agreeableness as per the 5 traits from the nose itself directly. Lips, level of anxiety. Something is bothering you. It's also a measure of agreeableness, measure of cooperation, measure of sympathy. Sometimes if I tell a story or if I express my feelings to someone, if I want to know whether he is really sympathizing with me or no, I can look at the lips. An extended lips shows that he is really deep inside. He really sympathizes with me. If lips doesn't move, this means that he doesn't care. He's just listening for the purpose of listening only. The neck, tilted neck while in a dialogue or while doing a presentation, basically expresses your relief. A straight neck means that the conversation is not going the way you want it to be, or you're not agreeing, you're saying yes just for being a compliment. It's again a measure of neuroticism and agreeableness. And finally, the hand. If you remember in the first act I made it on purpose that I have this Native American tents, نود الحمر, خيمة الهنود الحمر, these ones. Yeah? This is different than this one. Totally different. Okay, this is different than this one. If someone is basically nervous or trying to provide you the impression that I'm not nervous, he would go as an Indian tense. Otherwise, it will be a normal composure, yeah? So it resembles introversion or extroversion. If I saw someone sitting with a group of people, I can tell whether he is relieved, extrovert, sorry, or whether he is an introvert, right? So again, I took a lot of your time, but however, special thanks for Ahmed Al-Ghandour, Al-Dahih. He's a YouTuber, he's an Egyptian YouTuber. I took most of the concepts that I expressed to you from him in Arabic, but I presented in English. And special thanks for the sad person over here, Joe Navarro. And Joe Navarro is a former FBI agent that is specialist in body language and detecting spies. The floor is yours for questions. Adnan, I'm on your team. Don't embarrass me.
I have a question.
Oh my God.
I'll start with, first of all, thank you very much for this really insightful presentation, honestly.
You're welcome.
I guess for the following couple of hours, maybe to a couple of days, people will be looking at us very weirdly. They will be looking at the lips, they will be looking at the nose and whatnot. Just wanted to ask, how definite are we with the last couple of slides where you explained the different physical appearances and their relationship with their personality?
Okay, so as I mentioned, this doesn't represent my point of view. I made some research, and the most credible research is basically when you listen to it from a former FBI agent. Here we're talking about a highly secure facility that has a big experience in body language. Of course, they need to have such kind of experience. Basically, they're the FBI at the end. So this is my point of view. Now again, it can differ from one person to the other. Have you ever watched Prison Break? Who watched Prison Break before? We all did, yeah? جيل التسعينات. Okay? Yeah, we all watched Prison Break. Remember that episode when Lincoln Burrows and Michael Scofield were video recording themselves? So the FBI agent with them, he told them, fold your hands so they can know that you're telling a lie. It's the other way around. Yeah. As per Joe Navarro, this doesn't exist. Folding your hands means that you are protecting yourself. It doesn't mean that you're telling a lie. Even the eye deviating from left to right or from right to left when you're telling something, this depends on neurological factors. This has nothing to do with telling lies and telling a true point of view. So basically, it is not you cannot take it as a thumbs rule. You cannot but what I did is I took it as from a credible source, the most credible resource I've ever found while doing my research.
Great, thank you. Does it change with the geographical location?
Of course. It changes also with different cultures. Different cultures, yeah?
High context, low context. From your point of view, thank you. From your point of view, do you believe a character is shaped by its genes or the environment it lives around?
Well, I was fascinated by the study. صراحة, I was fascinated by the study. But I believe it is the environment that makes you who you are, and specifically, your childhood, the way you were raised. Your childhood experience is the most important factor in building your character.
The 90%, 10%.
Yeah, the 90%, 10%. I believe in Sigmund Freud's theory. Because I always have this debate, especially when I'm on diet. Yeah, come on, it's a cheat day. No, it's not a cheat day. Cheat day was yesterday. Yeah, and so on. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Adnan, yeah?
Yeah. Just two comments on two things. The Sigmund Freud theory. The Sigmund Freud theory and whether behaviors are transmitted either by genes or environment. I came across a number of articles a while back, one of them mainly being about how behaviors are basically transmitted. And I do tend to agree with Bayan that it's mostly based on genes. However, there was one article that stated behaviors did not transmit through genes until like just a couple of million years, not million, just like around, I don't know how old are the Egyptians. Anyways, it wasn't just like
Yeah,
it
I read
wasn't.
about it. Yes, true.
You get my point,
True,
right?
yeah, I got your point. Yeah.
And essentially, that basically happened because as humans progressed in life, there were certain behavioral traits that protected them from, basically gave them survival skills. And so, even though behaviors can be transmitted genetically through parentage, what often happens, especially during our time, like in this part of the world or just any part in general, is that it's a combination of two. Rather than it being specifically just genetic, it can also be environmental. And the best way you can look at it is look at yourself and your siblings and your parents.
True.
You'll always notice that no matter how similar you are to each other, there will always be someone who's slightly different, or you'll always have some sort of characteristic that isn't necessarily the same as someone else around you.
Exactly.
Which is why it's a combination of two rather than it being mainly genetic.
Exactly.
And about Sigmund Freud, I think he was Austrian.
Austrian, yes.
Yes, and when he first started out his career, he was faced with a lot of criticism because during that time, people were focusing on the human body rather than the mind. And most of his theories basically stemmed from the unconsciousness in humans. And you know, when you mentioned deep desires and conflicts and all of that, based on a lot of the articles that I read, he didn't come up with it from childhood experiences, but rather he used hypnosis.
He used
Hypnosis.
hypnosis, yes.
And so
yes,
through
yeah.
hypnosis, he was able to access people's dreams or unconsciousness, and then therefore basically come up with all of his analysis.
Exactly. But
just
as we
one.
mentioned, the hypnosis itself provides you with those three characters that you mentioned, the ID, the ego, and the superego. However, not putting into considerations factors that can play a role in feeding one character on behalf of the other. See, when have you ever heard of the story? You have two wolves inside you, white wolf and the black wolf. Who wins the quarrel or who wins the fight? The wolf that you feed. If you think negative, negative things will happen. Yeah. If you think positive, you're feeding the white wolf. So the white wolf will win the quarrel. The same case goes with what Adnan mentioned, hypnosis. Hypnosis provides you the three characters excluding the external factors. It's the factors that make you who you are. So ultimately, going back to the example I mentioned, the third world countries, I can be a thief in the third world countries. Deep inside, I will be self-criticizing myself. What am I doing? This is not who I am. This is not who I was raised. But it's the superego that doesn't have a valid point. Factors are feeding the ego, not the superego. Next question. Is that it?
Yes. So your initial act was you showed us that you were nervous, and that was you 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So initially in your presentation, you showed us how you were like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Using what you have taught us in the presentation, I have two theories. Number one, you were saying that the way you are, basically maybe from your environment. So was that from the environment?
Yeah.
And secondly, you changed. Is it because the reward, punishment, something came along that said, okay, I need to change so that I can get this reward?
Both.
Okay.
Both. It was the environment. I'm lucky that I have been in Oman for 30 years. صراحة. I'm living in a society, in a public that, يعني, as they say in Arabic, يرفع في الراس. I've been here for 30 years. So the kind of rewards I got from this society made me who am I right now. That's point number one. Point number two is that it came with the experience, exposure. The moment I left school, I get to know new people. I get to be introduced to new societies, to new different characters, other than the ones that I used to see for 12 years, I changed. Yes, I changed a lot.
And
during that time.
what drove that change? So you met them. Was there a reward for changing? Like, oh, I want to maybe, I saw this good trait in that person. I want to also have it.
Yeah,
Because I can see the rewards for him. Maybe I need
exactly, exactly. Whatever doesn't kill us makes us stronger.
Yes.
I saw how other people survived by not being killed, so I followed them accordingly. And I made models for myself during my life.
Good point. Good point. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay, apologies for taking your time. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you so much.